Right. So welcome back everyone to another episode of Chat with Dan. For today, joining me today, we have the incredible, the amazing, the badass, the superstar, the legendary, the one and only, even a superhero. Let's find out. The incredible Aislinn. Aislinn, how are you today?
I am fantastic. How are you, Dan?
Doing great. What better way to start up the first week of the year than to be chatting with someone as badass as you? You know what I mean?
Oh, well, thank you. I was going to say the same in reverse.
I love it. All right. Now, if you are new to the channel, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, follow. It helps a lot, but also the description below, you're going to find all of Aislinn's social media. Let's follow her, let's share some love, and let's find out why she's super badass. We're on a mission right now. And without further ado, let's jump in. So, I want to start this epic conversation by throwing out the very first question, which is, when you strip away the roles, credits, and expectations, tell me who you are at your core.
Honestly, core-wise, I am this perpetually happy, optimistic, always smiling sunbeam. That is it. Like at the core, that's really, no matter what it is I'm doing, that's always there.
There you go. Early in your acting career, tell me, what did you believe your worth was tied to?
I giggled when I saw this question earlier, because I am early in my acting career, honestly. So I think it's sort of a similar answer, but for me, it's really linked to the effort and time that I put into the craft. So that means being off book, as long as I can come into, especially when I first started my acting class. I think that, that would be the very, very beginning of the acting career. When I went into my first acting class, my biggest thing was just making sure that I could come in and be off book, whatever other stuff I was fumbling through, as long as I was memorized, that meant to me that I was worthy of being there.
And what made you start this new career?
My main background is dancing. I started that when I was very, very young. So I've always been a performer, and I went all the way through college training with that. I did the classical ballet. I have a BFA in contemporary ballet. So once I graduated from that, though, there was something about it that was just lacking. It wasn't stoking that fire that it used to for me. And so I was sort of searching for what that new thing would be. And everyone had always told me that I should try acting. And I had, after dancing, sort of fallen more into the modeling world. Just sort of naturally that ended up happening. And that naturally led to more commercial work, which sort of started to dabble with it. And eventually, after I don't know how many times people said to me, you should try acting, I finally said, you know what, I should just get over being scared of it. And I signed up for my first class, and it was literally in that very first class where I went, oh, oh, this is all I ever want to do.
You think that somehow that it was kind of meant to be?
I would say so. Yeah. Because I look back and I'm everything that I learned from dance, I feel directly does apply and relate to the craft of acting. It's performing, especially if you're doing more theater work, it's the stage. And just all of the skills that I have accumulated throughout my life, I have realized all directly apply to helping me as an actor. And it feels so natural to me. I can't really imagine myself doing anything else.
I do think sometimes life has kind of mysterious ways to show us where our path should be going, and it's so fun because it's interesting once you realize how one thing led to the next one and to the next one, and then suddenly you are in this path that maybe at some point you didn't thought you were gonna be it, but somehow it feels right. You know what I mean?
Yes. I think I always knew that I always felt like I was being pulled towards something, and I wasn't necessarily sure what that something was until I found this.
Mm-hmm. And was it challenging, during this whole phase until finding acting? Was it challenging a little bit for you that make you feel like there's something else here for me to continue?
Yes.
Or what was it for you?
Yes, I definitely felt this dissonance there was something missing. I mean, part of that was I was living in New York City waiting tables, which I don't think anyone really actually enjoys doing. So I was very much looking forward to getting out of that. But even the thing that got me out of waiting tables was I started live streaming, which was a random thing that I also sort of just like fell into. And while I enjoyed that more than waiting tables, and that also gave me some really interesting skills that I now bring into acting, there was still that piece of like, while this is cool and I'm thankful for this, I know that there's still that dissonance. There's something missing. And now within the acting side, it feels so harmonious. I don't feel that missing piece anymore.
Okay. And back when you were doing like the whole streaming, what were you streaming?
So I just had like a just chat channel. This was during this interesting sort of like a golden age of live streaming apps. Like obviously Twitch still existed, but this one, it was, anyone who is on it will know it, but I would not be surprised if most people are not aware that it existed. But it was called 17 Live or Live It. It was called 17 Live over in Asia, and then in the US it was called Live It. And it only existed for a few years, but they actually paid their streamers and they had a very, very devoted fan base. And I happened to hit it at just like the right moment. It's like a whole other like side quest that I did within that realm. But it was this one like pocket of years kind of right before COVID where there were a couple of these different apps that popped up. And it was always just chatting. And so it was just engaging with people as much as I could. I'd usually have some sort of topic that I'd talk about, but the biggest skill it gave me was knowing how to just fill space and entertain.
Mm. Do you remember what was kind of your favorite topic you did on streaming back then?
I'm like such a naturally curious person that like really diving into and picking at any sort of topic is enjoyable for me. So I'm not really sure if there was anything super specific. I know I know Disney songs came up a lot. My audience really enjoyed Disney songs. So we would sometimes do the trend where you would like only play like the first second and have to guess the title of the song. That was always kind of fun.
When reality did not match those expectations, how did that impact you emotionally?
So I, like many artists, am a bit of a perfectionist. So I definitely have a tendency to sort of like beat myself up when I'm not meeting something perfectly, but that only just makes me want to work even harder. So I think a good example is, as we were talking about, like having that expectation for myself of showing up to class being off book. Sometimes life gets in the way, and that wouldn't happen for a certain week, and I would come in and I would be very embarrassed of myself. That is not good enough for me. Whether that was not good enough for the teacher, which usually wasn't. That was like his line too. It's like, you got to come in off book. But for myself, I would feel like I would let myself down. And so to me, that would just push me to not repeat that again in the future, you know? So for me, I try to really approach any resistance or any struggle as inspiration to just do better next time. So it's really all you can do. You can waste your time beating yourself up, which I still do, but I try to just push through it and do it better next time.
I mean, it's part of it. I do
It
think
is.
that, it's part of the whole experience in order for you to grow, for you to become better at it. I mean, it would
Yes.
be nice, sure, that if there would be like a manual on how to operate, on how to do certain things. But yet again, I mean, if there was one, you're kind of missing the chance to actually learn from it, to actually have like a cool story, a cool experience that could actually help you later on for your career, let's say. So,
Totally. Especially with what you're saying about having like a manual, especially if you're doing something in a creative field. Because I think there's something about like, if you're pursuing becoming a doctor or a lawyer, still very, very hard work, a lot of stuff to learn, but there's very much a well-paved highway that you can follow of I go to this school and then this and then this and then this and then I take this test and then I'm a lawyer. Like there are very well put out steps to follow to do that. I like to say that being any sort of creative, instead of being on a highway, you're being dropped in the middle of an Amazon forest with a machete and you're just trying to like hack your way through, being like, I think I need to go in this direction. Wait, no, that's not working. Let me try going in this direction, because there's no way of knowing what that path is going to look like for you. It is not paved.
But it kind of makes sense because at the end, acting is a whole. I mean, I sometimes take it as a study of human emotions, things like that. So I get it that there's not like a specific manual on how to do because everybody's different in their own minds or in their own ways. So I
Yeah.
get it, what you said, that the fact that you're kind of in the middle of a rainforest because it's like society to it, and then you have to kind of cut it all like where you should go, but at the same time, you kind of like are exploring new things,
Yeah.
new ideas, new characters perhaps that could help you on later. Like you know what I mean? So.
Yeah. Even the business of it, like how to actually, quote, break in, I think changes every single generation. So you're able to look back at what the previous generation of actors did to break in, but what they were doing was different than the generation before that. So you can't necessarily copy that because the business changes so quickly.
Totally.
Gotta just be creative across the board.
And now that you mentioned that, tell me, how did financially uncertainty shape your mindset during the early years of your acting career?
This is a great question because every single actor faces it unless you happen to just be very lucky. But it certainly creates a scarcity mindset, which can be limiting. It can kind of give you a bit of a like barrel focus with some blinders on. And I think it's best to try to take a step back from that and see everything from a wider perspective than this scarcity. But I have a great story that aligns with exactly this. I was working this really, really great job. I was long story short, I was a host for like a live shopping thing. It was a fantastic job. It was the first time I was making like very, very consistent, good money. And it was projected to only continue and continue growing. And I was like their top talent. I thought I was so set. And I had just booked my very first play. And this was like my very first like real acting thing. Well, no, that's not true. It was like my second. Either way. Now the play was unpaid because it's small theater in New York City. Literally the month the rehearsals started, the live streaming job completely shut down, completely out of nowhere. No one saw it coming. Higher ups were just like, yeah, we're going in a different direction. Shut down the entire operations. So I lost my job as I'm about to go into 2 months of unpaid work that I was only going to be able to do because I had that other job. And so I took a look at that and I went, okay, I better give 110% to this play and this role because I need to take this and turn it into more opportunities and have this be a launch pad. And that is exactly what happened after that play. I have not gone unemployed acting wise for over a year. It was one of those moments where I showed myself, I was like, you know what? In the past times, I have shown that if I really set my mind to something and I really, really give it absolutely everything, it will grow. It will work begets work, as they say. And so I did it. The play went really, really well. We got great reviews. I got a manager from it. And on literally the last weekend of the production, I booked my next project, which was like my first really true, like paying lead role.
And during this whole uncertainty, how you play cool, because we've seen it sometimes that even people who have like a stable job, right? Like a regular paycheck, having this uncertainty, like being stressed, like and all of that. But regardless, they do have like a paycheck coming by the end of the week, by the end of whatever. So on this case for you, knowing that there was not going to be any paycheck by the end of like by the end of the week, how was your mindset to give your 100% and not let yourself being affected by like what if I don't make it? Where am I gonna live? Where am I gonna eat? Like all of that stuff.
Yeah. So I was definitely affected. I was definitely in this like kind of fight or flight stress zone for a while with it. One other piece to this, I am very lucky in knowing that I have a very supportive family that would luckily be able to catch me if I were to fall. And so knowing that I have that sort of social safety net, I'm incredibly lucky to have that. And so that does give me a little bit more bandwidth to take risks like this. And so I took the risk and it did happen to pay off, thank goodness. The actual like numbers of it, I was basically living off of credit cards, which I don't recommend. I highly do not recommend. However, sometimes life hands you life and you gotta do what you gotta do. And so I then had to go through the whole process of like paying those off, which wasn't super fun, but it ended up working out. But while I was going through it was definitely a lot of, I was overworking myself. I was definitely spreading myself very, very thin, trying to make sure that I pulled it together by the end. And I did. There was no guarantee that I would, though. And so it was very stressful. It was very stressful.
What rejection or moment in your acting journey forced you to confront yourself the most?
So I think, so as far as like, I feel like I kind of got over like all of those little individual rejections pretty early on from my dance training. Because when you're in ballet, when you're in dance, like, I mean, if you're not getting the part that you audition for, you're not getting into the dance program that you audition for, like, yeah, as a kid, that's pretty crushing. But also, as a kid, you're learning from it in a way that is going to build a base that makes you so much stronger as an adult. And so now, I really don't stress the individual rejections. And if anything, I don't even necessarily see them as rejection. Like, rejection to me feels very personal. But if I'm not getting selected based off of one audition or even a few callbacks, to me, it still just doesn't feel personal. And so I almost feel like the framing of the question is backwards. I just don't focus on the rejections. I just focus on my wins. Because if you focus on all of those little, what could be seen as rejections, there's far too much of that in this industry, and it's just going to crush you. You need to be able to focus on every single little win. I mean, getting the audition in the first place is a win. Getting a callback is a win. So if you don't actually book it, sure, you could look at that and then say, oh, well, I got rejected, boo. Or you could look at it and be like, okay, but I got the audition and I got the callback. That's 2 wins to me versus 1 rejection. So I think it's really about mindset and perspective.
You know, I sometimes think that the best way to solve or the best way to go in a problem, let's say, or a stressful situation is to do it in the most calm way possible, right? And
Yeah.
you never know, right? You can actually take it as a learning lesson. Perhaps there was a mistake there or something that you shouldn't be doing, and life just
Right.
keeps telling you like, hey, you need to actually change this, you know, or at least have discovered that life sometimes will be throwing us kind of signs or ways in order for us to continue getting better at it. And if we don't pay attention to it, we are just gonna keep falling on the same ditch over and over and over and over until you know what I mean. So, I mean that being said,
Absolutely.
I do get it that being grateful and being humble and instead of focusing on what you don't have, focus on what you have because with that you can actually build something better at it. I do agree. So.
Yeah, and you are right in that too, of it does need to have that nuance. Because if you are only facing these rejections or you're getting all of these little wins but not booking anything, then yes, you need to reflect. You need to make sure like, okay, well what could I learn from this situation? What could I possibly need to improve upon? But if you're only focusing on the negative, it's going to crush you because this industry is hard enough. You can't. You just can't.
Do you think it's part of our kind of mentality as humans, or is the way we are the fact that sometimes we will be focusing more on the negative than on the
100%.
positive? Yeah.
Yes. I mean, literally, I think you could literally trace that through evolution. Like, you had to be focused on the negatives. You had to be thinking. That's why we have anxiety. That's why anxiety exists. It's literally a survival tactic, is because it's like, okay, well, let me think of all of the things that could go wrong so that I can avoid those things so that I can survive. Like, that's why we have fight or flight. Like, all of this, being focused on negative, having stress, having anxiety, it's literally our survival skills. So, of course, those are going to be there, and they're going to be kind of the pre-coded manner of being. And I do think the looking at it from more of that optimistic mindset is something that is learned and needs to be continuously chosen to exercise it. You do need to a certain extent, choose that. It doesn't always happen on its own. I don't want to sit here and pretend that I'm never crushed. Like 100% there are times where I'm like, man, I really wanted that part. Or like, I really wish I could have had that opportunity. 100%. But I also know and trust that is enough of an abundance of opportunities that I am going to get another one. You know, it's never the end of the road.
Totally. Let's face it, you are in a different position as back as you started. It's like, for example, the other day I was mentioning this, like if you think about it for a second, you are in a position that your younger self at some point wanted to be, right? You are in that position you were dreaming about. So now, of course, that the expectations are higher, sure, but hey, you are actually reached something you like a few years ago you were dreaming on it. And it's so interesting because we tend to be like a little bit more ungrateful, and actually focus 100% on what we don't have. But then once we have it, instead of actually enjoying it, we kind of just take it as granted and continue wanted something like something different instead of actually be like, no, I actually got something which was made by 100% of my hard work. This is great. So I can use this as a result that if I continue moving forward, I'm gonna continue achieving more stuff personally that could actually help me. I do think that if we will be focusing a little bit more on that, perhaps we will not be so negative as we are right now somehow. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that can be a superpower as well. Because I think what it really is you need to hold both at the same time. You need to both be grateful for everything that you do have, recognizing that it was something that you like had dreamed of, while also still having that drive of looking ahead. Because I am very guilty of this, of what you're describing, of like, I will have that checkpoint in my head of like, okay, I need to get there. But by the time I get there, I've already moved that checkpoint like 5 times ahead. And so even though I'm reaching a certain goal that I've been reaching towards for a long time, there's this something inside me that's telling me I'm behind. And so I need to like keep going. So it's like, oh yeah, I got that thing. That's great. But like I should have already had that. And so I need to occasionally make sure that I slow down. And I'm really grateful for what I do get, while still then having that inner drive that pushes me to continue reaching more and more, because that's what's going to just perpetuate that growth.
Totally. I mean, it fuels you for you to continue moving forward. So yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. Now, switching a little bit here for our
Yeah.
for our halftime show to kind of relax a little bit in order to continue with this epic conversation. Quick speed round questions. Yes, no, or pass. Super simple. Gonna ask you a couple of questions. You can only answer yes, no, or pass. You ready?
Okay. I will try to stick to yes, no, or pass.
All right. Now, starting with the first one. Have you ever waited weeks for an answer that took seconds to say no?
Honestly, you never even get the no. You just don't hear yes. So yes,
Fair enough.
I have definitely waited forever and gotten nothing.
Okay. Have you memorized scenes that never made it past the audition room?
Like 99% of auditions.
Yeah, have you ever been told you were perfect, but still not right?
Absolutely.
There you go. Have you ever learned to live with uncertainty better than most people you know?
Yes, I think so.
Have you celebrated a win that looked very small to everyone else?
Every day.
Have you questioned your entire path while still loving the craft?
Yes, again, every day.
Have you learned to separate rejection from self-worth?
Yes, definitely.
Do you think actors develop patience faster than most people?
I think most do.
Has acting taught you more about yourself than success did?
Yes, I think acting teaches you the most about yourself than anything.
And do you believe this journey has made you stronger in quiet ways?
Yes.
And a bonus one, can you cry on cue?
Pretty much, yeah. I used to not be able to, and it was something that I really wanted to work on, and now I definitely can.
You see, you, as we were saying here, I mean, you achieved something as back then you couldn't. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Yeah. All right. What inner battle do you still face today that people might not see?
I think constant imposter syndrome, which the more I've talked to peers and listened to anyone who's really, reached a level of success where you could look at them and be like, there's no way they could ever doubt themselves. Everyone is constantly experiencing imposter syndrome, is what I've learned. everyone is experiencing it. So when I face it, it's certainly tough, and there are some days that are way louder than others. I just do it anyway. That's where that discipline kind of comes in. Like, you have to just do it anyway. And it may be harder other days, and you might be doubting yourself more and be like, oh my God, who am I kidding? What is this? Like, you're watching the audition, you're like, do I think I can act? Like, what is going on? But you have to just do it anyway.
Hmm. Do you still rewatch your old auditions or not at all?
I don't rewatch old auditions. I do rewatch old performances. Even though I don't really have any that are too old, I do definitely go back and watch those.
How do you stay grounded when casting decisions and perceptions are out of your control?
Honestly, you have to just be in it for the process, is really what it is. If I'm here only for the approval of these external sources, the casting directors, the producers, the directors, if I'm only there for their approval, I mean, it's going to be such a hollow, difficult experience. You have to love the entire process, not just the wins. Honestly, that's something that my mom has always said to me, even growing up when I was in dance. Like, you have to love the process. Whatever it is you're doing, you can't be doing it just for the shiny thing at the end. You have to enjoy the full thing. And so, yes, it is true. It's very unnerving to put in all of this effort into, I mean, I spent, I don't even know how many hours on this one audition yesterday. And that is not, I don't normally spend hours on it, but it was a special one. And so I put all of these hours into this audition, and now I just have to release it. So that is how I try to keep myself sane, I guess, grounded, is every time I have an audition, I appreciate having it. I try to enjoy doing the audition as much as possible, and once I submit it, I just release it into the world. And if it comes back to me, amazing. But if not, I'm moving on to the next, because you can't obsess.
And tell me, as your definition of success has evolved, what matters more now than booking the role?
You know what? Similar answer of enjoying the process. Because if you're not enjoying the process, then it's going to be a very difficult experience, because all of those shiny wins, that is a very, very small percentage. Even the time of like being on set, because that's the thing that all actors, we love it. We just love being on set. Even that is a smaller percentage of the time put into all of this. So you have to enjoy every bit of it. It's not about the wins or the success. It's about the process.
I like it. I like it.
Thank you. Thank
And
you.
in general, like what motivates you? We all have those days that we just want to quit. It's inevitable, happens to all of us. So how you stay positive on one of those days?
I think I have been honestly really blessed to. There's something in my DNA. I think that skews me just more on the positive side of things much more frequently. And I do think it just sort of is easier for me than other people, just from observing. I don't know. So I'm incredibly, incredibly thankful for that. I do consider it a superpower. That, again, not to say that it's just an all the time constant. On the days where I do feel down, sometimes I just let myself feel down. Sometimes it's okay to just feel crappy and to feel discouraged, as long as you know that you're not going to let yourself flatline. You're going to give yourself a day, maybe 2 days. And then you're like, nope, get your ass up off the couch again. We're going to the gym. We're doing like whatever that needs to be, whatever the moving the needle thing is. And then that gets into then the discipline part of it, of do it anyway. Even if you're feeling down, do it anyway. But I do sometimes just let myself feel shitty.
I mean, we're humans, it's
We
part
are.
of our experience. And I do think that sometimes we do need those crappy days
Yes.
or at least the way I take it sometimes isn't those crappy days when you can sometimes feel alive, and not that it's okay for you to do it, right? I do think that sometimes, this idea that that you're not allowed to feel sad or to cry or things
No,
like
you
that.
should.
You should, because if
I am
you,
such an advocator for crying.
yeah,
I
absolutely.
love to cry.
I
I'm
mean, you
such a
can't.
happy person. I cry a lot.
Totally, and that's just the way it is because it's okay, right? You can't reprimand your feelings because it's worse, right? If you have one of those days, as you mentioned, it's okay, feel it, and then in the next day, get up and continue moving forward. Don't let yourself being too much pushed into that because that can be
Yeah.
bad. But it's all about working on that and learn to differentiate that. Okay, today it's one of those days. That's okay. I'm gonna be doing something totally opposite so I can, regroup, refresh, and then
Yeah.
I'll go continue moving forward. Sure, it might take some time depending on the situation, sure, but that's just the way it is,
Yes.
right? I mean, you can't expect 100% happy days because you're not gonna be able to actually enjoy those happy days when you have them. You know what I
You
mean?
need
So,
you need the dark to have the light. It's yin yang. You gotta have both. Both have to exist.
totally.
Yeah.
No. And years from now, what truth about your acting journey do you hope people truly understand?
I hope they understand that it really, truly all came from a deep love. Everything is love. I hope that people understand that, like, the positivity that I'm talking about, this happiness, that energy, like, that's all very real. That's all very genuine from me. And I hope that everyone can find that thing that lights that fire within them that then makes them feel this alive. Because it's beautiful and I love it.
And you know what? My last question here, so we can all enjoy and relax here. So, what do you think that could be the best title for this episode?
Just keep smiling.
I'll take it. Sounds good. I mean, who knows? Maybe we are already giving the title for your next biopic book. Who knows?
Well, it's funny because my social media is Smilin' Island because it
There you go.
rhymes and it's accurate. And when I was doing live streaming, my little outro was just keep smiling.
It's like, so this was kind of meant to be now. I'm getting it. I'm getting it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what can I say? The fact you're doing what makes you happy is incredible. It's badass for sure. We all know that focusing something outside a typical 9 to 5, it can sometimes be a little bit of a pain in the butt, but you're making it happen. You're showing out that it's possible. And what I love the most about is the fact that you're not also creating cool content. You're, as I say, you're showing us that dreams are possible. And I think that type of positivity and that, yeah, like that vibe here is super needed, especially now in this crazy, messed up world we're currently living in. The fact that we can rely, totally, but the fact that we can rely on people like you who are just just making the dreams come true. That's hope enough for everyone to be like, if you can do it, I can do it too. So,
I so appreciate hearing that. So thank you so much.
absolutely. I do want to thank also those who stayed the whole episode. Let us know what you think in the comments below. But by this point, come on, you should know why Aislinn is super badass. Let's make her viral. Let's keep sharing some love. Let's make her, let's follow her right now. Hashtag Team Aislinn. And again, thank you for making this happen. Keep shining out there. Keep rocking. Keep kicking ass. And I'll be seeing you in the next one.